Checking in. How's everybody doing so far? Are you enjoying the presentations? So much great information here so far. Our next speaker is Ishita Majidar, VP of Data Analytics Platforms in eBay's CTO organization. Her organization empowers eBay to drive towards data-driven decision-making using the full spectrum of data analytics technologies, platforms, and tools. She's a 20-year industry veteran with experience in architecture, strategy, product management, and data modeling, and telco and startup accelerators. And today she's here to share her insights on best practices in data discovery, data transformation, data governance, and data access to collect, govern, and organize data in a meaningful way to power better selling experiences, risk and fraud detection, buyer experiences, and much, much more. Really excited about your presentation, Ashita. Please take it away.
Hello, everybody. I am Ishita Majumdar. I am the Vice President of Data Analytics Platform at eBay. And today I'm here to talk to you about the e-commerce best practices in data management and specifically what we do at eBay. The next slide, I wanted to start with a quote, and I wanted to see if all of you relate with this. Because Forbes in December 2020 said that the COVID-19 pandemic compressed 10 years of e-commerce adoption into 3 months. And then I was reading a McKinsey report in August 2021, which also said that the e-commerce volume has gone up to 35% above pre-COVID levels and is here to stay. And frankly, at eBay, the entire 2020 and part of 2021, we used to say that every day was a Black Friday. Our infrastructure, our platform, our services all had to be scaled with that kind of capacity of a Black Friday crowd coming in onto eBay every single day of 2020 and frankly, continuing even now. So let's take a snapshot of eBay. If you think about eBay, eBay is an online marketplace which connects buyers with sellers and enable e-commerce. Today, we have 1.5 billion listings, a double-digit growth from what we had even 1 year ago. We have 159 million active buyers worldwide. 50% and more than that, little more than that, comes in from outside US. We have 19 million active sellers and 22 billion gross merchandise volume. GMV is evaluated and calculated by the total amount of commerce that goes on eBay website. This also is a double-digit growth if I compare it to what it was in Q1 2020. I will talk about data, but before that, I wanted to walk you through the journey of a buyer when he or she comes onto eBay. Let's start with, I as Ishita am a buyer and I receive an email or an ad or an Instagram message to consider coming to eBay. What does data do? It targets the off-platform marketing, which means I receive the relevant message on the right channel at the right time. That's consideration phase. Now, consideration leads to landing on eBay. As soon as I land, what do all of us do? We start browsing. When we are browsing, data is empowering a personalized experience. My browsing and your browsing should be a completely different experience. It should not be the same. It has to be a homepage personalization. It has to be the segment relevant landing pages. When I land, it should be something which resonates with me. And personalized listings. When I do a search, the order in which the search items come out should be personalized for me so that I don't have to go to the page 5 and page 20 of searches to find the item I'm looking for. It's right there. That's what data does. As we are searching, search also helps in segmentizing. So if you're searching luxury handbags, eBay should know that Ishita always buys Coach and is a big Coach fan. Maybe show the Coach bags up front a little bit. Then we transact. How does data power during the transaction? It will help you give you the customized offers. There's a coupon available, or there's a better price available. Do you want to see that? We have a buy it again button. We create a trust by certification. We say that this luxury handbag has been certified and it is authentic. And we have translation. Remember, we are a global marketplace. So there are pages. If I'm in Berlin, Germany, I want to read everything on eBay in German, and we have real-time machine translation happening to make sure that the buyer is having a personalized experience in his or her own language. And lastly, the shipping. That's very important. Data and algorithms are helping estimate the delivery date so that there is a promise to a customer, which is pragmatic, realistic, and we will meet it. Post-transaction, now we have left the eBay side. We have customer service engagement. We make sure that we keep a record of those. We make sure that we have an understanding of your purchases and likes and recommendations and views so that we go back to consider. We can send you the right email on the right channel at the right time. That's what data does for a buyer across the entire lifetime journey out on eBay. And when we come within eBay, there are lots of questions asked by lots of people. And this is just a snapshot of one. For example, finance will come and say, hey guys, what categories have the strongest impact on our revenue? And can you do me a year-over-year comparison? North America business will come and say, we just started the vertical called sneakers. And these are authenticated, these are high price, anything above $200. How is the vertical performing? Give me all the analytics on that. As a buyer, I want to know, am I being recommended the right items? Am I being given the right daily deals? Or is it completely 180-degree from what I like, what I view, what I buy? As a fashion bag seller, and this is the vertical I'm very interested in, I'm a buyer and a seller in this category. As a fashion bag seller, that is me, I want to know if there are inventory gaps in the luxury handbags. Which brand is there an inventory gap is? What are the top 10 luxury handbags trending items on any particular day or any particular season? And that's very important for me to make sure that the inventory is always there to meet the demands. And that's how we go from data to the governance of data, making sure the data is classified into public, confidential, restricted, and we comply with all the privacy and GDPR regulations, to building algorithms and rules to process and analyze the data. And the output of that is the insight and the value that comes out of it to answer some of the questions that I shared with you before. This is a busy slide, but I deliberately put this in here to go through the cake layer, as I call it, from south to north. And let me go through these one by one so that you are clear what we do in the data organization at eBay to go from data to value. When we say data, it's a heuristic term, right? What we mean is there is behavior data. Every click, every view, every search, every browse, that's your behavior. That's your footprint on ebay.com. That's behavior data. We need to know that about you so that we can personalize your experience for you. And that's it. It's anonymized. It's only used for your personalization. There is transaction data, the GMV that happens, the trade, the commerce that happens. There's a huge amount of transaction data. There are images and video. This is an e-commerce site. People are uploading images, JPEG files, videos. I think there is a 360-degree kind of a moving image at this point of time. There is curated data. We take all the raw data with all the logs and the unstructured data, and we curate it so that it is understandable. And then there is external data which is coming in. That's the variety And that's the range of data that eBay has, collect, organize, and prepare. And why do they do that? They do that so that the platforms that we build, these are business intelligence platforms, or real-time and batch analytics platform, or we store the data on knowledge graphs and we do graph analytics. We have the AI platform. We have experimentation and personalization platform. This data flows into these platforms, which then does the right processing and right analysis to give you insights. Insights will power buying experience, selling experience, targeting the right ads to the right people, shipping and estimating shipping, the time to ship, the delivery date, and then of course the trust and the risk. Remember, we are now in the payment business, so we are also interested in the risk and fraud detection real time. So that's how we go from data to platforms to powering the experiences, as I walked you through one of them. And now let me talk to you about what are some of the best practices we hold as steel threads, especially in my organization, so that data is ingested the right way, it is transformed into a variety of end states, depending on what the users want, and it is consumed, again, through a variety of tools and services, depending on what the end consumer wants. And all these three are on a horizontal platform called data governance at every step, which is aligning to regulations, aligning to GDPR, aligning to privacy, or aligning to compliance. That is almost like the DNA. That must be done. Let's talk about data ingestion. When I think of ingesting data, I think about the many repositories that eBay stores data. It could be in Oracle, could be in Hadoop, it could be in a number of NoSQL databases, it could be in Elasticsearch, and of course it could be on people's desktops as well, because we all like to have Google folders with our own desktop-based data analysis. What my organization does and what the data platforms does is making sure it is easy to ingest from each of the repositories if and when needed. It should not take a month to add a new data source to the ingestion pipeline. It should be API driven. Once we have the ability to ingest, then we should be collecting the data in real time or in 12 hours period, again, depending on the use case. Some people just want to update the data 24 hours. That's the batch analytics. Some people wanted to ingest the data real time and near real time, which is coming through our real-time analytics. And ultimately, it will not make any sense unless I help in the integration of data. How do we stitch together these disparate items of data coming from many siloed storages and put it together to make sense for you when you consume it? And that's the role of data ingestion. When we go to transformation, we are talking about ingesting the structured data, like RDBMS data, unstructured data, like the images, the videos, the comments on the e-commerce websites. These are all unstructured. But we should have the ability for transforming both the data and the metadata into the right consumable form. And the users are different. A SQL user might need a different transformed and curated set than a data scientist, than a data engineer, than a product manager, and ultimately the executives. They want to come and just ask an English question and make sure they get the insights from the data. Which brings me to the next point. Once we have transformed the data and metadata into many forms, it is not always one format. We also do the automated curation and aggregation. Sometimes you want an aggregate of the total amount of GMV on US and between Q1 and Q2. That's aggregation. You don't give every day, but you aggregate it. Sometimes you want the inventory gap analysis, which is also a kind of an aggregation. You don't do the gap every day, you aggregate it and say, hey, in Q1, we had a solid inventory gap missing for a Nike brand for women and youth. And then we do AI-enabled augmented analytics, which is more descriptive and predictive than today. So there are three kinds of questions we ask with data. What is happening now, which we do a great job. What is going to happen tomorrow, which is inferencing and predictive, which is where the AI algorithms play a big role. And what are the reasons and inputs of something happening, which is the causal analytics. A causes B or C causes D. And that's where ML and AI plays a big role. Lastly, the data consumption. So you might wonder, we went through this huge process of ingesting different kinds of data, stitching it together, making it available. We did a huge amount of work in curating, aggregating, using the AI algorithms to do some pretty good inferencing and next-gen analytics. What for? What is the reason? That is to make sure that they are consumed by the different users. Again, our user base could be developers at eBay, data scientists, data engineers, product managers, or executives, and pretty much anybody, because the notion is we have to democratize data so that it is easy to be consumed by any user through the right presentation layer, through the right tools. So some people love reports, and we enable that, and it should be frictionless, it should be fast, it should be insightful in what reports you want. Some people like visualizations, and we enable that. We build the tools and the services which enable the visualizations for easy viewing and better understanding of the data. And some people would like to come in and just ask a question using an English question. How are the categories of home and gardening doing today? That's an English question. We use natural language processing to change that question to a SQL query, which goes and then accesses the right database and gives you the answer. So we have to make sure that the consumption is also varied, and there is nothing like a one size fits all. And last but not the least is data governance. Remember my slide? There were 3 best practices sitting on the common platform of data governance. We want to protect the data in alignment with GDPRs, which tells us how long we can retain what data and when is the right time for deletion. We have automation in our systems which will delete the data as and when the policy says. We have to align with privacy, California privacy laws, Europe privacy laws, US privacy laws, and compliance of the data as specified by our security team. Our internal security team says eBay must comply with these data regulations 1 to 10, and we have to make sure we do that. We also want to make sure that although we are giving you easy access and frictionless consumption of data, we do some kind of role-based access control so that junior engineer should not be viewing private and confidential data at any level. Executives can only view the amount of data which is anonymized and where all the personal elements have been taken away. So we do a good job of making sure that based on your role, you can access some data in some places, but unless you're a DBA, you really cannot access Oracle data directly. And these are some of the gates that we put in to enable the right access, the right compliance, the right retention and deletion guidelines. So finally, as I summarize, and I want you to take away a couple of points, it would be this. We at eBay collect a variety of data from a variety of sources and prepare and govern them in the right way. Once that is done, we make sense of the data and we identify some meaningful trends through many platforms, tools, and services that we have built. That leads to data insights and intelligence for different customers. A search engineer is a different customer than a customer service engineer at eBay. And the values and the insights which are important to search for search personalization is very different from sentiment analysis that is of importance to a customer service agent. So there again, we have many different businesses and product teams who rely on different kinds of value and insights. And lastly, why do we do all this? We do all this so that eBay can make better decisions in every step of the way, as well as take better actions. Thank you for your time.